Buenos días amigos, bienvenidos a nuestro evento número 27. Para nosotros es un honor tener personas de más de 25 países, más de 3.700 personas registradas, así que es un enorme honor. Y siempre en estas situaciones, siempre yo sigo al maestro Adices, que siempre dice, nunca hay que preguntarse por qué, sino hay que preguntarse el para qué. Entonces, ¿para qué hacemos este evento? Y yo pienso que, digamos, una de las cosas es, vivimos en un mundo tan cambiante, que lo que nosotros, el para qué es para que la gente que viene al evento tome 3 días primero para el networking, ayudarnos entre nosotros, y segundo, para ver dónde vienen los tiros, ¿no? Es decir, para ver dónde está el mundo de la tecnología, para dónde se está moviendo, y la otra es para ver dónde está GeneXus, qué es lo que estamos haciendo con GeneXus y qué es lo que podemos aprovechar. Pero en el fondo, digamos, yo lo que creo es lo que está pasando y cada vez más, que nosotros estamos obligados, y es un poco el lema del evento, cada vez más estamos obligados a moldear nuestro futuro. Hasta hace poco, probablemente 10 años atrás, no era necesario moldear nuestro futuro, no era necesario preocuparnos demasiado de nuestro futuro. Básicamente, después del tiempo que uno se recibía y elegía una profesión, después de ahí en adelante era más de lo mismo, era más o menos hacer más de lo mismo. No había que preocuparse demasiado del futuro, de las cosas por venir. Yo creo que eso cambió sustancialmente y yo diría que ahora estamos en la situación inversa.
And we will be a small boat in the ocean that is pushed one way or the other. So what do I hope and expect from these 3 days of the event? We will have more than 180 presentations, will be very intense, 170 presenters, and I would like you to leave with an idea of how you can shape your future. And thus, this is how we named the event. And firstly, we have to analyze where the shots are coming from and where we are going with regard to technology. Unlike other years, from 2010 until now, in the world of the technology, we saw that there was something very concrete that was going on, and we had to do it. In 2010, we said, you have to make mobile applications, and we made a lot of effort in training, in mobile generators, in user experience, but there was one focus. There was one thing you had to do. And before that, it was you had to make web applications. So at each one of the technological moments, there was one point on which you had to concentrate. But now, things have changed. We can't say there's one thing on which we have to focus. I think that what's going on right now in this very particular moment, 2017, is that there are 2 or 3 technologies that have not yet completely matured. But if they mature, they are going to have a huge impact on our future. Therefore, what we have to do with these technologies is to take them now, to start using them and working with them before they mature, because this will be the way to shape our future. And the 3 technologies I want to talk about are, firstly, artificial intelligence. There's no media that don't talk about artificial intelligence. They say it's going to be the Skynet and will kill us all, or that we're going to lose our job, we won't have any more work. I don't think that any of this is going to happen, though there is no danger in what we are working on. It is our area. We started with Breogán working on artificial intelligence, and one of our most solid components is that we generate codes because we don't use traditional methods, but methods based in artificial intelligence. So that's our area of expertise. But the question is, what happened? Why is it that it was basically something you couldn't talk about? Because 5-10 years ago, we did not say that GeneXus was based on artificial intelligence because it didn't have a good press. But what happened? Why is it that everybody is talking about artificial intelligence right now? Because, firstly, of the power of computing. We have processor sizes and memory sizes that allow us to test and make viable algorithms that were not viable in the past. And secondly, and more surprising, one of those algorithms that is called deep learning, based on neurons, started having fabulous success, and not even the researchers that are working on that algorithm know why it is so good and it works so well. It works better than anyone had expected. So basically, those are the two components that today are guiding the world of artificial intelligence. And the question is, what's the use for us today in the GeneXus community? I believe that it affects us more directly in this sense. Deep learning has had a fabulous success in 2 years. Firstly, deep learning recognizes images, and then it processes natural language. And in both fields, it can be very useful for us. With regard to the recognition of images, it can be useful because we can start doing things we had not thought about before. For example, when I was doing the demo of bills or invoices with GeneXus, we would enter the code number, etc., and the data of the invoice. But probably in the future, I'll just put a picture, and the system will know what are the products that are in the invoice and will make the invoice on this basis. So if we could recognize automatically some images, what will be the use of this feature? So this is the area on which we will be working. And secondly, the processing of natural language. Instead of talking to the system with commands or a screen, I want to speak to the system in my natural language. And we are working a lot on this, and Gaston will tell you more later. The good news is that in the GeneXus community, we don't need to know about deep learning or neural networks in order to use these algorithms. This is an integration game. In order to use a database, we don't need to know about D trees. There are readers that provide these algorithms and the power of the software that is needed. And we are integrating these suppliers. That's what we are doing. That is why we are going to have several presentations about artificial intelligence. We have asked Jorge Elias, who will be speaking close to noon, who are the big suppliers of artificial intelligence and what they are giving us. So the concrete case is that we are saying you don't need to concern yourselves on how to make these algorithms. You just need to worry about the rest because we will provide the integration. But this is not all. The algorithms have been successful only in what is called supervised teaching. This means that they don't learn like us in an unsupervised manner. You have to give them examples. Constantly, you have to give them good and bad examples. If I show a picture of a Coca-Cola, I have to tell them this is a Coke and this is not a Coke. So we need to give them a lot of information and data. So for us, this means, and this is my message, artificial intelligence for us equals data. In order for it to work, everything has to be based on a significant amount of data. So before starting to think what we can use it for, my recommendation is start gathering data. And this is a change in the way in which we work with data. Up to now, we started storing only the data we would need in the future. But from now on, we need to collect data without really knowing what will be their purpose in the future. But we do know that at some point or other we will use them. And Monsechi, the Undersecretary of Industry and a researcher in artificial intelligence for a long time, on Tuesday we'll also make a historical and interactive presentation. We will also hear about machine learning. So there are many topics we are going to be discussing with regard to artificial intelligence. The second area that is having a lot of development which is not mature yet, is blockchain. People tell me, I want to work with blockchain, I want to enter the business of blockchain. Everybody wants blockchain. Many risk venture capitalists tell me, I want to be in this business. And when I ask them, what is it about? Only La Bombarda gave me the right answer. No one really can tell me what it's about. So what we want to do with regard to blockchain is a lot, but there will be several presentations about the matter. In order to understand blockchain, you firstly have to understand Bitcoins. I recommend you to follow all these presentations. From the first one, what a Bitcoin is and why they're based on blockchains and what their purpose is, and then how you can use blockchains. And what's their use? Well, I think that they have the power of solving something that we have not been able to solve well yet, not only the GeneXus community, but the IT world. And I mean the data between companies. Mostly every company in the world nowadays has a database and can manage this base, but there is a mess when the data from two companies have to be put together. For example, between banks. I have movement between banks, a draft from one bank to the next, and what we see is that there are values that are duplicated. Data that are in both databases, and what we need is a clearing or consolidation mechanism to see whether the data are correct or not. And this entails a lot of movements and cost. So blockchain has the power of a centralized database when there is not a lot of trust, and this would be a great opportunity. So I think it's another one of the matters on which we have to shape our future. And finally, something that is more mature, the Internet of Things, is something that we are already living. We have more and more sensors that are measuring things. Cristina Subillaga tomorrow will give a presentation about what the municipal government of Montevideo is doing with the Internet of Things, and they have a specific policy in this regard. In agriculture, for example, and other government agencies, we will see the same. With regard to the Internet of Things, I think that we are going to have more and more sensors. And what are we going to do with this data that we are collecting? The first thing we will do is very simple. For example, if a value increases, you let me know. Or if a car drives faster than 7 kilometers, you tell me. Or if the temperature goes above a certain temperature, you let me know. That is to say, this is very simple. What happens if something goes above a value, then you tell me. But something more sophisticated is to recognize patterns of data. And after these patterns are recognized, we will want to act automatically on the basis of these values. But if I act automatically, for example, if a software changes automatically, for example, the temperature, and that changes the value of the sensors, then I have a loop. I'm going to build something that is autonomous. So for me, a consequence of the Internet of Things is what we would call autonomous vehicles. We had never thought that I would end up programming a telephone or a watch. But now I think that I am going to end up programming an autonomous vehicle. And I have been working on one which I want to show you. I intended to show it in motion, but, well, this is a radar, and I wanted to make it work, but I saw that there was a drone, and I thought the drone may get jealous and destroy my vehicle. So the thing is, well, these are technologies that have the power of doing something. They are not mature yet. They have not reached that point yet. So what do we have to do? And my reply is learning by doing. They are not mature yet, and they cannot read book or attend courses. Things change too fast, so we have to learn by doing. And therefore, we have been working with Tails Lab, and thanks to the support of FOMIN. And tomorrow, Susana Garcia Robles, one of the executives of FOMIN, will tell us about venture capital around the things we're doing. So we want to set up an environment where the whole GeneXus community can experiment with all these things. So with the support of ANI, the National Agency for Innovation and Research, we have also been doing things, and I'm going to invite Fernando Brun, the CEO of ANI, to tell us about it. Thank you, Nicolás. Well, with GeneXus, we are working on an initiative that falls within the framework of instruments that are a bit more sophisticated. Our tool is called co-investment, and we are working in this case with Tails Lab, but also with our investors in order to trust our partners for certain verticals. For example, blockchain is the vertical of autonomous vehicles, and we are associated with Tails Labs, and we are supporting the investment that Tails Lab is doing in certain initiatives and startups. So with blockchain, what we want to do is not to reinvent the wheel, but to establish a generic blockchain platform so that spin-offs and startups can work with the platform and test it to see how they can use it. We don't know yet what this is for, but we have to try it. Yes, that's the question. What for? And the strategy of learning by doing is one that we are supporting with this framework of more sophisticated tools that are oriented towards the question of open innovation. You're going to make a wonderful presentation for sure. Well, not as good as yours. Well, thank you so much. This is what we are working on, therefore, with regard to technology. But in learning by doing, one of the most important things is the doing. So in order to do, I want to tell you what we are doing with GeneXus. And I want to invite Gisela Bertelli and Gabriel Simonet to tell you about it, and we leave.
I want to tell you about what we were doing to really leverage the GeneXus community. We created programs and products so anyone who wants to develop software can do so with the use of GeneXus. The first group we worked with were small entrepreneurs that need to develop software. So we created GeneXus for Startups program. Today, any small new company with an idea that needs to develop software can use GeneXus. Let me tell you of a case. Martin Mesoli from Salta is 46. He is an agronomist, and about 2 years ago, when he was in a supermarket going to buy cold meat, he started thinking about why not having something to save time so you didn't have to queue up. He was thinking about that, and then he met GeneXus during a GeneXus tour where Tato Olmos and Alejandro Simas showed him what GeneXus was doing. And he said, I didn't understand much about that at that time. But he understood that in 15 minutes you could prepare an application. Then, just to make the story shorter, he created this application. You can have an online queuing up number instead of queuing up yourself. Please use this app if you are anxious, if you don't like waiting in the line. So Martin did this and he released it in September last year. Today, he has installations in Argentina and in Uruguay. So he not only made his idea come true, but he created a new way of doing business. In the same way, we have over 200 startups in the world that are applying their ideas through GeneXus. The second group we worked with were students. Historically speaking, GeneXus always worked hand in hand with universities, but we went a step ahead this year. We wanted young students to awaken to the idea that technology could help them develop their ideas. So we developed a new way, a new kind of event, which is called Desprogramate, and we created GeneXus for Students program. Today, any technology student with an idea who wants to carry on with a project or work, he can use GeneXus for Students. In numbers, it means 1,500 new community members using their ideas with GeneXus. Then we also worked with large corporations with monolithic systems that need innovation. For that group of people, we started working with SAP clients, and we created GeneXus for SAP systems to develop and innovate around the ERP using the whole potential of GeneXus and the latest SAP technologies. In numbers, that means 50 companies using GeneXus. This product was released officially in April this year in the SAFI in the US this year. This afternoon, there's going to be a presentation by Guillermo González from Chile and the Kaufman Group, the first Mercedes-Benz dealer in Chile, and they will talk about this product. To sum up, any person today, a young student who then has his own startup, then grows to become a software house or becomes a corporation, they use GeneXus to develop their ideas. But we not only devote our work to create programs, but we also work in developing market coverage. GeneXus is present in all these markets. The main territory is Japan. And I want to tell you 5 things that stand out in the last year in Japan. One of our main customers, NTT Comware, developed My Numbers system. At the end of 2015, the Japanese government released one single identification, which is like an identification number that led all companies to integrate with the single identification system. And NTT Comware developed this so that thousands of companies could integrate to the government system. The second comment in the Asian market has to do with China. As you know, the services we are used to here in the West, like Google Maps, do not work in China. So this compelled us to develop special services so that our customers could get all the potential to develop applications. So we developed integrations with services like Baidu Maps, which are especially made for China, Alipay, WeChat, and many other services that allow customers in China to use the potential in their mobile applications. The third market where we worked very much, it was the US. In US, we have a new office with hundreds of activities to maximize the use of GeneXus in that market. Before the end of the year, we will be releasing the online purchase so that US customers, whether they are students, startups, or software houses, can buy GeneXus directly from a website. Another market we worked with is Central America. We have incorporated a new distributor in Guatemala. In fact, Max is here with us, so we welcome him. We welcome him to the GeneXus ecosystem. Finally, I would like to say that as from October 1st, we incorporated a new distributor of GeneXus. GeneXus is now represented in South Africa. So welcome David and Alan, who will represent us in that market. To sum up, apart from considering the geographic coverage that is our interest so that we can expand the GeneXus community, we've been working so that more students use the GeneXus technology and more startups use this GeneXus technology. In this way, we not only expand the coverage, but we also help our customers and the ecosystem of GeneXus to grow. Along this road, we heard the following question. What does Gartner say about you? And I'm going to invite Gabriel to answer that question. Before responding to that question from our customers, I'll tell you what Gartner is. Gartner does market analysis, product analysis, company analysis to recommend to customers when making decisions about technology. In particular, at the level of GeneXus, we were not very happy about Gartner initially because there are different reports focusing on different specific companies, and GeneXus, on the other hand, tries to cover many different areas and not specialize in one area. And I will tell you more about this. So we never paid much attention to this, but 3 years ago we were called. They told us that there was a Gartner analyst in Uruguay visiting companies and he wanted to visit GeneXus. So we said, of course, yes, welcome. And he came to see us. We got together with Gisela, Nicolás and some other experts to talk with the analyst, and we asked many questions. He was very kind, very nice. Everything was very welcome. The person left, we forgot about it. In the early 2016, we got more in touch with the Gartner analysts, and this is the team. Not just Gisela and myself, so we asked Nicolás for help, we talked about the vision, we also involved Gaston and Eugenio with the technical questions, because when we talk with analysts, we are very technical. So early in 2016, we talked with them, then we forgot about it. Last year, they called us again at the end of the year. Well, at Gartner, we analyzed the conversations. We think that what you're doing is very interesting. And they told us, we want to appoint you as full vendors. This is one of the important reports that Gartner has. It informs about companies in different areas or industries that have something in particular. And they mentioned us as full vendors in Latin America and Japan. And we said, good, we are cool vendors. And we kept on working. In 2017, early in 2017, they called us again and they said, well, we are starting an analysis of the magic quadrants. It's like the World Cup of Gartner's reports. Everybody wants to be part of that. And we said, yes, why not? After a few calls, we'll see how we can do. It was not just a few calls. When we said, yes, we want to join you, they sent us a series of 700 questions, and we needed to expand our team, and we needed the help of the whole company. So all the areas of GeneXus were involved: development, support, trading, administration areas. All of us involved in this Gartner report. And that was not enough. We needed information, so we had to get in touch with distributors. We even had to ask some customers to fill in forms to complete all the information that Gartner needed. We worked very, very enthusiastically. We answered the questions, we sent them back, and we forgot about it. This year, in July, they called us and they said, we have good news. We analyzed, we compared GeneXus with other companies, and we want to tell you that you qualify for the Gartner's Magic Quadrant. So as from 2017, we are part of them, and we join Adobe, IBM, and many other interesting companies. So we are competing with the largest companies. This was a very nurturing experiences, and apart from being part of the Magic Quadrant, we've learned a lot. We learned many valuable things about ourselves, things we never considered, things we never said. So this helped us recognize a lot of information that we have, but we tend to forget. We learned a lot. And to wind up, I can say that this is marketecture. This is one of the things Gartner requested from us, to show what GeneXus covered. And we said, wow, so many things. This is a platform with so much intelligence to provide solution. In addition, we generate solutions that are complete, that cover infinity of areas. And one of the most interesting things like my brother, it's not just this is a static picture. This was at the June, July this year. But I would like to invite Gaston Ilano, our technology manager, to explain this picture. Thank you, Gabriel. Well, one of the things we learned is that by trying to solve customers' problems, we can be part of Gartner's quadrant. The type of research and development we do is not what we are after. From the early stages, we try to solve the user's problems. In GeneXus history, we've always tried to communicate the developer with the users, while some tools and competitors focused on capturing the requirements of users by using diagrams. GeneXus tried to speak the same language. We used business laws that responded to the domain, to the data users want to show, how they see them in a form, something that is more direct than the abstract diagram. So now, as Nicolás said, in terms of artificial intelligence, the interfaces are no stream interfaces, interfaces where the input is in the voice, for example. So GeneXus is trying to incorporate this knowledge from the tangible, from the conversations we have with the users. These conversations in the knowledge bases will be taken up by an extension of what the knowledge base is, and the chatbot generator will take it up. The chatbot generator is an extension of our smart devices generator, and we will be building new types of interface. As we said today, learning by doing. Every time we incorporate something, we use it. We did the chatbot generator, and with that generator, we did a conversational interface, which is in the event application, and we hope that you will use it also in any other type of application. It's not going to be text solely. The chatbot may answer text. If I ask, what's your name? It will say Rudy. But when I ask it, who's Sebastián Gómez? It will answer with something richer. It could be a screen that I already have prepared in my knowledge base, and I will interact and work with hybrid interfaces. What a chatbot generator is will be explained by Sebastián Gómez Tuesday afternoon, and also the state of the art of this generator. So as we approach users trying to speak the same language they speak, when we design what the customer needs as an interface, we need to interact with designers. And this is where we face problems. When we talk about problems and what we are doing in this interrelation between developers and designers, I would like to invite Mauro Canciani from the UX research sector in GeneXus. Hi, thank you, Gaston. I'm here to tell you what we are doing at the UX team in GeneXus to improve the workflow between designer and developer. We want to solve a serious problem, the problem of PDF. We've talked about it thousands of times. How does a developer get the design? He gets it in a static way, and the developer has to convert pixels into codes. To see what industry is doing and how it's making progress, I think that Airbnb is doing something wonderful. They are creating a system of visual language which uses elements and makes them into components. For example, they manage a house or a profile going beyond the controls on the screen. Making it into components is something important, and GeneXus is paying a lot of attention to that. It will help us work faster. But how can this design get to the developer? How can the developer integrate this into GeneXus is a problem. So we have developed GeneXus visual models. This allows us to create stencils. That's a component. The stencils are objects that can be reused, shared. I can share them with someone without sharing my KB. It has a layout, a palette of colors, images, and in the future, interaction, animation, etc. So that the designer can integrate the stencils in GeneXus and maintain them and adjust them. We created inside GeneXus M a web platform where you can work without installing GeneXus or having to learn GeneXus in your own field, adjusting these designs into GeneXus through a very simple language based on SAS. If you know CSS is very familiar to you, it's very little you need to learn. Okay, I think that you're not going to send me PDFs anymore. That's very important. When you sent me that, the result was not something you liked. If you sent me a new version, things get more complicated and I could not include it in my development. Now you don't need to do that. I do that in a very simple way. You send me a link and I work from the web. So you will be talking about this, right? Yes, if you want to learn more about this, I will be here on Wednesday with Mr. Michelini and will tell you what we are doing. It's called No More PDFs. Okay, give me the mic. Thank you, Mauro. Okay. In the case of users, we try to talk to them in the language they understand. The same is true with designers. We want to get to the world by eliminating obstacles and interfaces between designers and developers. Okay, now today, to create software is not just going through the development stage. Apart from interacting with designers, we have to interact with testing, with QA, and other areas of operation, where the developer needs to share or exchange so that operations can do something with the product. This idea of this works in my machine, now it's your turn to make it work, that doesn't work anymore because systems today are 7/24. We cannot stop. We need a process that has evolved that can communicate better between development and operations. The whole process requires more tools, more communication across teams. We talk about DevOps, the interaction between development and operations. Fabian Batista, Federico Toledo, Laura Griar will talk about DevOps and this process. So what are we doing in GeneXus in this regard? Today there is a standard as to how to move from development to operations. That's called containers. And GeneXus provides an environment so that you can use it as a Docker container. Someone will talk about what containers are and how they can be used if you come to listen to Sebastián Gómez on Tuesday afternoon.
Now, if I'm a developer and I want to make an app, for example, which is .NET, I have a Windows software, and I want to do a .NET running Linux, it's not possible to do it with GeneXus. But Microsoft has released in its strategy of going to the cloud an evolution of the .NET framework and rewrote it. And they did what they call .NET Core, which is the framework that runs Linux. And following on our promise to follow also one of the big companies in their strategy, we also released the NetCore GeneXus. So Claudia Murialdo is going to make a presentation about this NetCore generator, which is very advanced. Beside the interaction with each one of the parts, there is integration with other developers and servers to show what we are doing in this regard. Gonzalo Arcos will give a very interesting presentation showing what you see on the screen, that is to say, cooperation between developers. Now, in the medium term, last year with Nicolás, we presented what we call GeneXus M, that is to say, the new generation of tools for modeling. What is the current status? We continued making progress, and soon you will have at your availability GeneXus M, which is a cross-platform. As Maura said, we are going to use it for the developers, but since it's based on web technology, it's also going to be used to give tools to each one of the profiles that participate in the development of our software. There will be specific development environment for each one of them. For the designers, it's going to be a web environment. For others, a full environment. And for others, it will have a different view. The Germán Asís will make a presentation on the current status and what will soon be available for the whole community. Now, one of the pillars of GeneXus is future-proofing. As technology advances, we have to advance with it and make sure that our clients won't be lagging behind from a technological point of view. One of the areas that is moving at a great speed is web development, the development of applications based on UI frameworks. That is why we have been working a lot on the speed of our generators, and also we work on new forms of generation combined with the previous ones in order to make a generation for Angular in particular, which is one of the most popular frameworks for web applications, and we are working on these new technologies in order to make the generators extensible. Therefore, together with React, for example, we are building this new technology, and in places when they use a different kind of framework like Vue, we will also be using the framework, the Vue framework. How are we going to be making all this? With a beta that we have called GeneXus Tero, after the Uruguayan bird Tero. And this opens a world of opportunities. And to talk about this new world of opportunities, I would like to call Gustavo Carriquiri, our operations manager. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all. I would like to start, well, technical issue here. This is what I would like to start with. When we set up this whole architecture, I first thought of something that they said, in my neighborhood, so all this food, what do you eat it with? What are we going to do with all this? What are the opportunities around this architecture? So what we will do is develop end-to-end solutions. It is a web application that is responsive and will improve the reaching with our clients. We want all of our clients to be able to reach it, as we have done with internet devices. So we will want to have a web responsive application, also a native smart device application to improve the user experience. And actually we will have to make two, one iOS and one Android. And as Gaston said at the beginning, for sure we'll also want to include conversational interfaces, chatbots or something similar. And for the future, well, we have no idea of what's going to happen, but for sure, they will continue evolving towards end-to-end solutions. And all this supported by a back-office web, because the structure has to continue working. So an end-to-end solution means all this. What is the current solution in the world? There are various keys. Part of the architecture you solve requires different skills, sometimes hundreds of developers and several $1 million and a lot of time for the development. Now, there's another way of doing it, which is the GeneXus way of doing it, and I would like to tell you something that is already in the events application that many of you have installed. I've been working on this. It has a web responsive part, and what we wanted was that any person who accessed the event from their cell phone would be able to see it without downloading the application. That is why we made something that is web responsive. Then we also made a native application, both in iOS and in Android, which allow people to interact more with us. And this creates a link with the person. From your device, you can send and receive messages. And this is an evolution of the previous one. And then we have a conversational interface. The chat box that Gaston mentioned is a GeneXus application, and behind it there is a Watson technology. If you want to try it, it's called Rudy. It's in the app. And if you go to the computers in the hotel, there are consultation terminals where you will see something called Clarita, which is a user experience component that is integrated to the application of the event. Clarita and Rudy have the same intelligence to reply. These are different ways of interacting, and we see more and more these end-to-end solutions, which also become more and more complex with regard to their requirements. Now, we did all this in GeneXus, and we did it as we know how to do it, with a database that is integrated in an integrated development, a database that leads to an end-to-end solution. And I forgot the back office. The back office is also created by the same GeneXus database. Now, you have probably all developed more sophisticated applications, and you know that this architecture offers opportunities, and for us, the first opportunity is to have an integrated development on the basis of the databases. Now, things used to be like this in the past. When a client arrived, it was like an empty field, green grass, where you could sow any kind of seed. But these green fields exist less and less nowadays. So if I want to build an end-to-end solution, besides what I mentioned, I will need to integrate with a platform, someone who gives value to my solution. It is very difficult to develop an end-to-end solution from scratch nowadays. So let's assume that all of us, like IT people, have ideas on how to improve people's lives. And we have a lot of ideas every day. But even if you have GeneXus as a tool in order to develop these applications in a very agile manner, it's not so easy to do it. Yesterday, I went for lunch with friends, and we wanted to divide the bill. And it's difficult to do it. So what if there were an application where we say, well, the bill is so much, and each one of my friends receives a message saying, this is what you have to pay. This sounds like a very easy application. You just need a panel, something simple. But the thing is that this application has to be integrated to a bank from a technological point of view and also a functional point of view. It has to create in a bank transaction, a transfer from bank account A to B, and It's a brilliant idea when I'm having dinner with my friends, but not so easy to do if I don't have a platform. So if I could build this application, I would for sure use BanTotal, which is a platform that allows you to develop fintech applications and facilitates innovations around finances. In the same manner, there are other platforms that have developed this kind of technology, like K2B or SAP, or this other application which is very well known in Japan, or Watson, which is artificial intelligence. A lot of technologies that could be used. 2 years ago, along the same line, we released the SDK for Mercado Libre that allows integration, and it has been used by many clients in the world, including Infoware, which is a Brazilian company that has an RP specialized in auto parts. So they added the functionality to their RP so that the spare parts for cars can be published in Mercado Libre. The growth has been very significant, and there will be new things to come for their clients. Also, Eric Nubaro from Netgate has made an integration with Mercado Libre, and we welcome Eric to tell you about it. How are you, Eric? I'm fine. So first question, what is NetGab? Well, NetGab is a company that offers tools and methodology for company management. We have 2 products, NetGab RP and NetGab PPW. I'm the only one that doesn't know what PPW means. Mariano, you don't know either? Well, what is PPW? PPW is a tool so that companies can publish, maintain, and offer their products in Mercado Libre and other web pages. And where did you get this idea of a PPW? Well, from G25, after Ismail's presentation. My partner liked the idea very much. We tested it. We saw that it had a great potential for our clients, and we decided to launch this line of work. And how have you done? Is it working well? Are you selling? Yes, we are doing very well. We are very happy. We have found a lot of market niche, and with the Mercado Libre team, we were able to offer this tool. We have markets in Argentina, Peru, Colombia. Good. This sounds very good. But so you had an expansion plan. You wanted to become international. Well, actually, no. This is something that just happened. We propose and Mercado Libre decides. So this has been hand in hand. This has happened hand in hand with Mercado Libre expanding to other markets, right? Yes, it has been of help. And why do you think that Mercado Libre could be interested in this kind of platform? Why did they choose you? Well, I actually don't know for sure, but I think that they are trying to develop publications and have good maintenance of their publications, have certified users, and my application works in this regard. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Well, Eric developed something that was linked to Mercado Libre, but I also want to say that we have just released the SDK for Mercado Pago. Given the importance of electronic payments for us, it is very important to have a way of integrating with the payment methods. And now we are announcing an SDK for integration with AGESIC, which is a government office that works within the framework of 2020 digital government, and it defines guidelines for the development of software that is integrated with the government agencies. GENEXUS is known by everyone in Uruguay, but for those who come from abroad, I will tell you that GeneXus Consulting, for example, has developed a lot of technology in order to find a way of integrating with GENEXUS electronic government platforms. So we are releasing now GeneXus SDK for GENEXUS. In its first version, it's taking the knowledge that has already been developed, and a lot of it has been published in the marketplace, and this we will put in an SDK. So for anyone who wants to integrate with GENEXUS, all these database, these objects can be downloaded and the integration is launched. But beside the usability and the user experience, GENEXUS defines many standards and patterns and guidelines that have to be followed. So in the future, we are going to release a second version of this SDK that comes back to what Mauro and Gaston explained at the beginning, the visual model, the stencils that are active patterns that can be downloaded so that you know how to have an integrated platform for electronic government. So this integration of SDKs and technologies is a second opportunity that opens up how you can develop on top of all these giants. And finally, integrated development, integrated solutions. Thank you very much. And back to Nicolás. Well, thank you very much. And to end this lecture, a short reflection with regard to what Eric said. Gustavo asked Eric, what did Mercado Libre give you? And Eric is very humble, but let me tell you that there was something very important that happened. Now he has an application that is connected and works. It is complex and sophisticated. And it's amazing, but the capacity of doing is something that is a distinctive feature of the GeneXus community nowadays. Everybody can talk, but very few people can do. And those who have this capability and also manage to integrate with someone else who leads them is very important. Netgate now is in Mexico because they had an app that functioned and they integrated with Mercado Libre. This is magical, and it's something we have to continue exploiting. So this was what we wanted to see you to launch the event. And I want to recommend one of the presentations. We were very lucky in order to shape our future to have a management group called DICES. Johan Adises, who is the son of Chuck Adises, will make a presentation tomorrow afternoon. He has been fundamental for us with regard to company management. And finally, coming back to shaping our future, well, I have always been surprised when in a plane they tell you if the mask falls, firstly you should put your mask and then help others. But my instinct would be to help my son if he is sitting by my side, but that's not the way to do it, because I have to help myself first, because otherwise I will pass out and won't be able to help others. So the first thing we have to do is to be strong ourselves, shape our future. But our mission, the mission of the GeneXus community, is precisely that, to help all others to shape their future, and that's our mission. Thank you very much.